This is Gran Turismo 7, the latest entry in the long-running racing and motorsport simulation series. So this is the 25th anniversary. This is my first play of the franchise, so it is actually quite interesting to be here taking a look at what the series has to offer for the first time. So with that, be sure to like the video, and subscribing is great as well. So what are we getting here on the upgraded PS5 version? We are getting a native 4K resolution, no matter which of the modes you go to. And there's a good reason why that is something that is pretty easy for this game to achieve. So, yeah, first off, we got like a regular performance mode. This is the, native 4K 60 FPS. And then there is a ray tracing mode, so that is also native 4K 60 FPS, but ray tracing is only applied during like cinematic moments outside of racing, never during gameplay. And when it is applied, the ray tracing, reflection type things and whatnot, it drops the frame rate down to 30 FPS. So you never actually see ray tracing in the gameplay. And to me, that's very disappointing. That aside, the game does run very smoothly. There might be like a rain scenario or so where things might dip like a little bit here or there. But for the most part, it's a largely flawless, motorsport circuit experience, where you're racing along many iconic tracks that have been recreated and designed within the game. It has a splendid HDR system, and even the SDR implementation is quite fantastic. Now, when it comes to the visuals, I would say that the game really excels with next-generation car models. Seriously, these car models look simply stunning. They are beautiful. The cars are so well created, they reflect so well, and they look fantastic. They really, really do just nail the car aesthetics of the game. Like, just look at this. It looks fantastic. The lighting is great too, and I love that aspect of the game. Now, that being said, I'm very disappointed with the backdrops. So, the road, it looks okay, but the trees, the static sky in the backdrop, the people, the crowds, it looks like something from a last-gen title. And I know it's a cross-gen experience, but it is something that I found personally to be quite disappointing, is that the backdrops really don't look that great. It feels quite uninspired in regards to the fidelity of the backdrop. I'm playing intermediate with the self-handling of brakes and everything and whatnot. So we'll kind of just, I guess, look a little bit at the race camera here. But seriously, you've got like these stunning cars that seem almost too photorealistic. Like it's an uncanny valley sort of effect against these backdrops that really do look like something from a racing game earlier on in the last generation of gaming. At this point, looking forward on next gen, I always consider racing games to be a true benchmark in just visual fidelity and upgrades. And while these car models are insane, it's just like the trees look really fake, the backdrop looks really out of place. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, it's not visually bad, but it's also visually bland. And it's just got like this really static style to it that I'm a little disappointed about. Because, well, I just expect more out of a racing game in this generation. I really do. So what's neat about this game is that it has more than just racing. So if we go all the way to the main menu, there's two ways to play. There's the world map and there's music rally. So this is a few tracks that are kind of like musical tracks that are tied to races. It's silly, I don't care for it, but it's neat. You might find it to be cool. But you've got this place where you go to a cafe and you collect different car cards, or you go and you have to buy cars that are like used. And, some of them are limited stock somehow, even though it's virtual. And, there's more to it than just kind of driving cars. You have to like wash your car or, customize your car. It's a little annoying to change the color. You have to like create a custom livery every time to do so. But the cool thing is it really is sort of a celebration of vehicles. There's legendary cars, there's missions you can do, which are quick little things. There's like different like online. It takes a few hours to unlock the online multiplayer, and we'll get to that portion of the experience when I chat about that in a sec. And there's the license center. License center sucks. So to progress in certain scenarios, you have to have certain license tiers. So I was like 8 hours into the game, and I had to learn how to drive in a straight line. I'm not kidding. I'm really not kidding. I literally, like, you can watch my stream about it. 8 hours in, I had to learn how to drive in a straight line, and I was told this is how Gran Turismo is. This is how it's always been. And I'm just sitting there thinking, that's just silly. But that's how it is. So it's like, okay, I get that, I guess. But I really, really dislike that. I honestly thought that was just stupid. And it really detracted from my experience because it was one of the dumbest things I've ever done. It made me feel as though it was a little insulting to my intelligence to a degree, I would say, to make me do that after 8 hours. And I don't know, I really did not like that aspect of it. So there are a number of car assists and options. I should also mention that the controller, the DualSense, really feels great in this game. You really feel like the movement of the road and whatnot. I wanted to kind of show off the weathering quickly so you get an idea of things. So they do have a lot of courses and whatnot, and they do have different like presets for weather and things. I would have liked a little bit more of a dynamic weather. It really seemed like while I was playing the game that it was kind of the same. You know, it didn't really seem dynamic to me, the weathering conditions, which again, an environmental thing that I would have liked. But they do have lots of choices for how you know, kind of change how your game looks. I just wanted to show those off quickly, in case people are wondering. The loading is wonderful. It's fast, it's smooth, you get into things instantly. I did have issues with the online capability. So this game is only online. So if you try to do things offline, it doesn't really work. Like, this is 100% an online experience. So with that, there was portions, and again, you can check out my live stream, where, you know, like 20 minutes at a time, every now and then, I would have issues where things just weren't loading. It did seem like restarting the game fixed those connectivity issues, so I don't know what was up there. But just keep in mind, you know, if the servers are maybe overloaded or something, I don't know if that'll happen. But there was a few moments where up to 20 minutes, I just couldn't play anything. I would try to load into something, and it just wouldn't load. So, you know, do keep that in mind. I don't think it's a big deal. Well, that I don't really like, but, you know, I don't think the online connectivity is a big deal because most games, we just play online these days, right? But it's something to keep in mind, as there may be a point when the servers are closed, and then the game is just not really playable unless they update things, right? That could be the case. So when it comes to the progression of this game, it is really mind-numbingly slow. I don't know if I'm just used to other racing games where you're getting things like candy. Even in this game, they're kind of popping out cars like candy for you, but it takes so long to get things. It really does take quite a while. Like, I'm hours and hours and hours into the game, and I still wasn't even getting like very fast cars or vehicles that really, you know, kind of felt fast. I like to just jump in and play a racing game sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to sit here and have to grind stuff. And the only way you can unlock cars, like, there's no quick play. And like I said, multiplayer takes like 3 hours plus to unlock. And it's just like, it's a very weird, slow, antiquated type of system in regards to how you actually gain access to races, to areas. It's all guarded behind artificial blocks just to slowly make you progress. You know, it is cool to see that sort of system if you like that kind of thing. Like, they really do actually push to make you, like, understand, you know, the love of these vehicles. Like, they definitely do seem to care about these cars and the history of motorsport. And, you know, it's kind of neat collecting these different cars as you know, continue to work and getting the history behind the cars. That's neat. But I would have just liked to do some racing and just see some different presets for weathering and whatnot. And it takes forever to unlock the different vehicles and the tracks, which to me, it is rather disappointing because I want to get out there and I just want to race sometimes. That's why I kind of like these games. So it is very simulation focused, so if you're wanting something a little bit more arcadey, you're not really going to find that here. I do definitely suggest, again, playing with the assists to get the right setting that's comfortable for you in regards to handling. You have to be very careful too, because there's not like a rewind type system. It's not like most common racing games. You actually have to be very careful. If you fail, you have to restart your whole race. I do believe that most racing games should have that as a standard feature, or rewind in this day and age. But, you know, some people have preferences against it. I think when you're playing single player, it doesn't matter, but whatever. So yeah, it is a game that does, you know, handle well performance-wise. It does feel pretty good to drive. I love the DualSense integration. It's all right looking, you know, but visually I was expecting a next-gen GT title to push the boundaries a bit more. The word I would say is underwhelming is the visual showcase of the backdrop. Like it just it takes you out of place of how beautiful these cars look. Like these car scans. Again, I cannot say enough good things about the car scans. They look really, really good. I love the look of these vehicles, and the lighting is very, very well done. But the backdrop is just so last gen is the thing, and it's just, it feels very static. It doesn't feel alive. Like during storms, there's like the trees don't really do anything, and it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel alive, if that makes sense. It's not the next gen cutting edge visual backdrop experience that I was really, really hoping for. Because I really, you know, I love racing games for the sense of the, like, just the way they push the boundaries tech-wise, because the concept of them is a little bit more, you know, set in place than it would be for some other games that take longer in a generation to catch up for visuals. And this just really isn't a next-gen showcase of what the PS5... I think the PS5 can do more than this, in my opinion. I think the PlayStation 5 can do more than what this game shows. And I'd like it to do more, because I think that's a little bit disappointing, that we're not seeing this thing really push the boundaries of this console. You know, like, again, it's a fine game. It's a solid game. You know, if you like racing, you like the Gran Turismo series, I think this is a bit of, from what I understand, a return to form. This is something that goes back, fixates on these tracks, gets down to, I don't know if basics is the way to say, but it kind of hits the mark in providing something that is about these vehicles, about progression, about upgrading your vehicles, getting that PP level up, I think it was like player points or something like that. You know, make a little PP joke there, but you see that at the top. But yeah, it does have a lot to like, but it also has some elements that I really wish would have been pushed further. Stuff that they could have done to really make this experience not so slow and tedious is a big thing. Like, it really does feel as though it takes a while to really be enjoying the game. Like, you just have to, like, slug through it for what feels like, you know, hours before you actually get to fully enjoy the experience. And to me, that is a little disappointing, because I would just want to jump in, and I just want to have fun. That's the biggest thing. And you might be saying, oh, you know, maybe you just go for an arcade type thing, but I think you can also have a lot of fun, you know, in these simulation games. I really don't see why that wouldn't be the case, right? I really don't understand. So just keep that in mind, that, you know, I do like the game. I do think it is cool, but I do feel that there are a lot of elements here that sort of hold back what this game could be, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel necessarily like innovative. It feels like it's just a kind of another racing game that I'm playing, and I had such extremely high hopes for this experience to be just blown away by it. We're going to switch over to the prioritized ray tracing mode so that you can see what that's like in action, because, you know, obviously we want to show both here. And then you can see all the circuit disc stuff and everything like that. So, yeah, I thought we would just showcase that quickly. But going back to the licenses thing, I hated that. That was, like, one of the craziest things I think I've ever seen. Like, really in my entire life, I just was so unimpressed by having to do those licenses. It was really, really weird that was something that they would, like, put into this game. Oh, and you can buy microtransaction credits if you want to. This is Canadian pricing. If you want to increase your funds, I don't have enough to buy the tires, I guess. So I was going to be like upgrading stuff. Never get new cars because I'm always upgrading things like parts and stuff. A little disappointing. But anyways, yeah. So I think there is a lot of content here, but it's kind of a grueling process to access that content. And to me, that's a little disappointing, because I really can enjoy racing games, you know? I'm not necessarily like the most hardcore of racing players out there, but I do enjoy this type of experience. I think, there's a lot of potential for what these kind of games can provide, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, I kind of wanted a little bit more custom weather. I guess you can kind of do like a preset kind of thing. I want like heavy rain going on. Dry, cloudy, dry, 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 humid cloud, sunny, misty cloud, sun with moonshine, hazy, cloudy, bright. Is there not like a really just like a wet kind of thing? Maybe just not on this area. But yeah, I don't know. It's a game that I was kind of expecting more from, I think is the biggest thing. And like I said, it's a solid racing game. I can see people having a lot of fun with this. I can feel, I can get along the idea that people are going to have a really, really good time playing this game if you're a big fan of the series. I do think it's going to be a little harder for new players to really get into things. And I think, again, like visually, it's okay. Like I said, the car models, wow, cool, lighting, dazzling. Backdrops, I don't know. And I'm hoping that's really coming across too when you're like viewing it, because even when I'm playing it, I'm kind of like, it looks really quite last gen from just like the quality of like, the trees and stuff. I do appreciate that there doesn't really seem to be pop-in kind of present, so I guess that's a good thing. But it's just like, I don't know, I kind of expected more. I mean, you'll see some like shadow type pop in if you look for it, but I think for the most part, it's kind of fine. It feels very static, the backdrop. That's the biggest thing. It doesn't feel alive like what I want a next gen racing game to feel alive like. So my biggest things with this one are, personally from my perspective here, and going over this review of it, is it's very slow to get to doing anything. It's a bit annoying with the licenses and other progress kind of blocking and slowing things. Technically, it is, kind of impressive from a car and lighting standpoint, but not so impressive from from a backdrop and crowd and everything like that standpoint. It looks quite last gen from that perspective. Like, look at those trees. That doesn't look very good, I'm sorry. But, and it makes like this uncanny effect where I'm kind of like, the car is hyper real, but the world it's in doesn't look right. It's really weird. So I get that they really like cars. It's got a very stylistic sort of approach to it. If you're a long-term fan of this series, I think you will really kind of appreciate what this game is in regards to it being, a return to form for the series. But I think for newcomers, especially if you've played a lot of other modern racing games, I don't know if this is going to quite be perfectly for you. I think it is okay, it's alright, like it's playable, but it feels very slow, and it feels like it takes a long time to get to a point where I am fully enjoying what this has to offer, and that, to me, that's a little disappointing, because I just want to enjoy the thrills of the race. I wanna get in on there, and I wanna just kind of do intense action. I want to, kind of feel the intensity of the action and whatnot, and the grippiness of it. There we go. That's some actual night stuff. Preset weather, custom weather. Huh. Weather at the start. Easy, cloudy, thick clouds. So there's lots of options for how you customize your experience too, which is kind of neat. I guess we'll go in and do that. So loading-wise, good. Tech-wise, so-so. Fun-wise, not really super fun. But I think this is something that is enjoyable. I do hope we get like a real next-gen GT this generation too, which would be kind of cool. I really wish this had a rewind feature. Really, really badly, because that feels like such a modern thing that car games would have. But, it's got its moments. It's got some neat stuff to it. It's grueling to get to points where you're really having fun, but, you know, it's about the journey and the race, and again, liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well, and good luck out there in the lands of Gran Turismo.